if we get to that pass, which many will be hoping that we do not get to, because some individuals, okay, right now we have about 60, almost 70% PVC distribution rate according to INEC. What if we get to that pass and the other 30% that have these TVCs insist on their rights as citizens of Nigeria that they must have their votes because they have tried. Some have gone, they've been told that they've been stolen. We had some people interviewed who said they went there and they were asked to pay money to get their TVCs, and if they did not pay, they were asked to go somewhere. They went there, they didn't see their cards. If those kind of individuals insist, and we get to the point, the time frame that the Constitution is given, and we cross it, and there's no election, what happens?
Well, I do hope we do not have a constitutional crisis, because it's going to be difficult to get out of it, because it simply means you're going to uncharted territory. You're going to a terrain where there is no roadmap. There is no law to guide you. Now, what the Constitution says is that where the elections are unable, you can't hold the elections, the presidential elections, maybe due to reasons of war or national emergency of some sort, and the elections cannot be held, the president goes to the National Assembly to seek to continue in office for a period of 6 months. Now, if he secures, I believe maybe the majority or 2/3 majority of the National Assembly, then his tenure is extended for 6 months. After 6 months again, he has to go back. But the Constitution ends there about now when the elections will be held.
Help us explain to us, tell us about this, the Electoral Act as amended 2010, Section 52, 1B says the use of electronic voting machine for the time being is prohibited. I've heard some people, some lawyers say using or capturing your fingerprints in an electronic manner is part of the process of voting. And so they think that that can be interpreted as electronic voting.
There are always interpretation of statutes. There are two sides to the coin. Look, the people who don't want PVCs to be used can make a case and say, using PVCs, using card readers, capturing our data in an electronic card violates this provision. On the other hand, the other people the other people who want PVCs to be used, including INEC, would also come up with the position that says, look, this is not what the statute says when it says e-voting, because maybe it says e-voting, as you know, in advanced societies, whereby you just go there, there's a data, your name is captured, and maybe you put your thumbprint in a machine, and your vote is captured. But, you know, it's subject to sometimes when the drafters of statutes suffer from a deficit of language precision in their language. So that now when you're drafting that, like that is a badly drafted provision in my view, because except it says it defines what e-voting means. If it doesn't define it, then you leave it open. And then you have to wait for the court to take a position on it.
Yeah, but what are some of the booby traps that you're beginning to see could emerge from this elections?
If you can see that the financial markets are jittery, and that always gives you an indication that things are not going as planned. Because one, the elections have been postponed. It looks like it is a premeditated postponement. So we now go dangerously to the end of the period where the Constitution says you must have these elections. If on that next date, in March, the security agencies have not vanquished Boko Haram, like they have told us, and in my view, is most unlikely to happen in 6 weeks, to get the northeast of Nigeria in such a state that Boko Haram would not be an issue, a threat to anybody again. I do not frankly see that happening. Now, if the security agencies now say in 6 weeks that, well, the position hasn't changed much, we still cannot provide security for the elections, then what do we do? That is my fear. But because after that, if they still say they cannot do it, then can INEC say they're going to go ahead?
Now, INEC has said, I know that that question was posed to the chairman of INEC, and he said that they do not have any constitutional powers to shift it beyond that particular date. Do you also agree with him in that respect?
No, I think the last date that they can have that elections, the presidential elections, is 30 days before the expiration of the tenure of the current incumbent, which should fall about maybe 29th of April. So I think any election before the 29th of April will still be constitutional. But now that they've boxed themselves into a corner in which it seems that it is now the security agencies which will give the go-ahead for the election, what will they do if they still don't have that go-ahead from the security agencies? That is the challenge. Because once INEC and perhaps the nation has subjected itself to 3-4 people, security chiefs, deciding whether the elections will go ahead or not, how do we know these people will be objective in taking that decision?
What about the disparity in terms of distribution across the country, the distribution of PVCs? Do you see it also as a potential trap, for the credibility of the elections?
Frankly, I don't see distribution of PVCs as a big issue. It's been picking up. There was a point in time, maybe a week or maybe 10 days before February 14, when there was indeed cause for concern regards the issue of distribution and picking up of PVCs. But from my personal experience, that has improved because the PVCs have been made available largely in most areas. But people are not really going to pick it up. INEC also has to look inwards because the stories going around are that their staff are asking people to pay money to pick up these cards. INEC must ensure that its staff do not create further impediments in the way of people. Because somebody goes to his ward or whatever to collect his card, and then you tell him to go to another place to go or to bring some money, and he just decides that, well, you can keep the card, I don't want to vote. So INEC has to also check that, because I've had that story from not one or two people, that staff of INEC are asking for 200 naira in certain instances for people to pick up their cards.
What about the issue of stolen cards?
Well, I haven't. If the cards are stolen, since the data is stored electronically, I believe INEC should just simply cancel all those cards, so that whenever they surface, it is like if you now steal an international passport. Once it is reported and it is cancelled, if you use it anywhere, it's going to be flagged. They need to red flag all those stolen ones and issue new ones to the people whose cards have been stolen.
Yeah, I think I remember them saying that, yes, they will replace them, and that even if you have two, you can only vote with one.
Yes,
but
yes.
we'll see, we'll keep tabs on that and see how it plays out. Thank you for coming on this morning. Moyosore Onigbanjo is a senior advocate of Nigeria. We'll be back after the break. Join us again.